everyone, my name is Tessa Merrow and I'm one of the new developer evangelists for Cisco. And I'm here to show you how to make your first API request by showing you how to go through the documentation with Spark and an introduction to the Learning Labs and using Postman to make a request. So I'm very excited to go through this experience with you and I hope you enjoy it too. The first thing you're going to need to do is go to developer.cisco.com. And if you don't have an account, click on register. If you do have an account, go ahead and log in. Don't be intimidated by all the links and buttons because I'm going to show you exactly where you need to click to get to where you need to go. So the first thing you need to do is enter this URL, developer.cisco.com, and scroll down to Collaboration. Spark is a tool for chatting and video calling and collaborating with people, so that's an easy way to remember how to find the link. So let's click on Collaboration. The next step is to scroll down and you can see your different options to go to. The next thing you want to do is click on Use Spark APIs to send a message. So now it's logging in. Now it says ready to code. You can go. So when you're all logged in, it should be very simple. It would go right to the page instead of log in every time, so it should save your information. And then here you are. You are at the first step of the Learning Labs to create a Spark room and message. See how easy that was? Let's go through the Learning Labs together. Completing this will earn you 250 points. So it's more of a gamification style and an interactive learning. So when you go through the tutorials, you'll earn points as you go and earn badges. So scrolling down, it explains to you what Cisco Spark is. It's a cloud service providing persistent chat, room-based collaboration, WebRTC video conferencing, and more. Developers can easily integrate solutions with Spark via the Spark REST API. For example, to add Spark messaging features to an app user interface or to automate sending Spark messages to rooms based on business system or real-world events. So as you go through, you'll see links that will explain to you more about what these keywords mean. So Spark REST API is a link and Cisco Spark is a link that takes you to more information. So step one is to sign up for Cisco Spark and take a tour. So I'm going to copy this link, Command-C on a Mac or Control-C on a PC. And I'm going to paste it in a new browser tab. Since I already have an account, it automatically logged me in. And as you can see, I have 5 rooms. Test 999, Test Room 2, Sparky, Sample Room, and Test Room. Now, let's go back to the Learning Labs. Click on the green arrow going to the next page. As you can see, we're on page 1 of 5. Listing Spark rooms. Here's the API URL that you're going to need to remember to use for when we use a Chrome plugin called Postman. And I'll show you how to set that up in a little bit. So copy this URL here, developer.ciscospark.com. And we want to keep that tab and add a new one. So now we're at the Developer Cisco Spark portal. And you're going to want to log in to this page. Sign in to Cisco Spark. So as you can see, at the top right corner is my profile. When I click on that, I can see my access token, which is also known as my API key to access Spark. Now that we have that ready to go, you're going to go back to the Learning Labs and see what your next step is. Open another browser tab and click the Apps button on the shortcut toolbar. So, since by default Chrome does not have your Apps button, so you can get that set up by going to chrome.google.com/webstore/launcher. And it's a free plugin for Chrome, so that way you can easily launch your apps. So on your end, you're going to see a button to install, and it should only take 1 second. And then you're good to go. Then you'll see on the top left corner is a button called Apps. So you're going to want to click on Apps. And now you will see your apps bar. But since you won't have Postman here yet, you're going to open up a new tab and type in getpostman.com. So this is a plugin that will allow us to make REST API calls and post and get requests from our Spark app. So you can see your options. You can add it to Chrome. So click on Chrome app, and it should give you an option to install it. Since I already have it installed, it tells me I can launch the app. So I'm going to exit out of here and exit out of Postman. So go back to your apps and refresh the page, and it should show up right here. Go ahead and click on Postman and open up the app. Isn't that cute? Distorting space-time continuum. All right, so I'm going to clear out everything. So we're starting from fresh. So it should look like this. If it says get or post on default, it doesn't matter for now until we get to the next step. So going back to your Learning Lab, let's see what the next step is. In Postman, construct a REST GET request for the Rooms resource. So what you're going to do is go back to the top and copy this URL. And I'm going to put it in Postman. Since we're going to get data, click on the drop down and click on the GET request. Now see what the next step is. Scrolling down, it says click on the Headers tab and add your authorization, which is where you would put your API key, starting with the word bearer, space, and then your key. So first I want to copy my API code. By going back to developer.ciscospark.com, click on your profile and copy your key. Now go back to the Postman app and click on the Headers tab, type in the key authorization. It should show up in the drop-down as well. Click on value and type bearer, space, and then paste your key. Now, back to the Learning Lab. Well, I'm going to exit that out since we don't need that. And I'm going to exit out this since we don't need it. You should only have your Learning Labs open, your Spark room open, and your Cisco Spark developer portal open. So you should have 3 tabs: learninglabs.cisco.com, web.ciscospark.com, and developer.ciscospark.com. So that way you're not confused between having several tabs open. So back to the Learning Labs. We have our authorization API key, and let's go ahead and go back to Postman. Looks like everything is good. You have your GET request. You have your URL. Don't forget the protocol, HTTPS. It's easier if you copy and paste it rather than just typing it in, because it's easy to miss something. So everything is good. Open up Postman and click Send. So, as you can see, this is a JSON format, and you'll see items here and several IDs. Since I have 5 rooms in my Spark, I'm going to have 5 sets of data. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. By default, you should have probably about 2 Spark rooms. So you should have about 2 sets of data, if I'm not mistaken. You will find the ID of your room, your title, the type, if it's locked or not, the last activity in the room, and when the room was created. So to do any kind of development in a single room, this is where the ID of the room comes in handy. Now let's go to the next step of our Learning Labs. Open up your browser and scroll down. We finished part 2 of 5, so go ahead and click on the green arrow to go to the next page. So here's the API URL to access rooms. So make sure we still have that in Postman. Double check it. Everything is good. So it says create a new Spark room, uses the same room's REST resource. But this time we're going to make a post request. We're going to add information to our Spark app. So we're going to click on body. So let's scroll down. We're going to add a content type, application JSON format. So let's do that first. It says click on headers and add a content type, application JSON. So click on Postman. Click on Post and click on Key, application type, content type, application JSON. So the next step is click on body. This should be empty on your view. So you're on the body tab. Don't get confused with the body down here. We're not clicking on body on the bottom. There's 2 parts. So click on body, that's close to where your URL is, and click on raw so you can type in the data. So back to the Learning Labs, it says type in brackets and then type in the word title with a colon and then the room name. So back to Postman, type in the brackets and type in title. And title must say title, it can't say anything else, or else it will recognize where to add it. And add your room name here. Let's say Women in Tech Room. Let's make sure that's the correct format. If there's anything at the end, nope, that's it. And don't forget to make sure there's double quotes around the word title with a colon in between, and double quotes around your room name. If you don't have the double quotes around each set, it will not work. So double check everything is correct in this view. You have the post. You have your URL to access the rooms. You're on the body tab. You clicked on raw. You have the brackets around the title and the Women in Tech room. And you're going to click on send. So at the bottom you can see there's a status, and 200 means everything is a success and okay. There is no error, and no error is good. And here is the set of data we just created. This is the room data. You have your ID, the title, Women in Tech room, false, and created time. Well, congratulations, you've made your first REST API call. But first, let's verify that this worked. So go back to your browser and go to your Spark room. So notice that there's now a new room added called Women in Tech room. So that's perfect. So don't post anything in here. We're going to use Postman. We're going to use the code to add a message. So back to our learning labs. Scroll down. We've completed part 3 of 5, so go to the next page by clicking the green arrow. So step 4 is adding a user to the Spark room. So we're going to change the URL to memberships. So instead of working with rooms, we're working with memberships. So users are considered members of a room. So to add a user to a room, we will use a Spark API's memberships resource via HTTP post to create a new membership representing the user-room relationship. So this is the information we're going to put in the body part. So let's go back to Postman. First of all, take note of this ID. We're going to need this. So instead of editing this portion, click on the tab up here to create a new section. So since we're posting, we're putting information there, we're going to click on Post and click on Headers, and we're going to add the same information as the first tab. So go back to Headers, Authorization, click on the tab, copy this, and paste it in the value. Then copy this and paste it in the key, and copy this and paste it here. And then for the URL, we're going to copy the URL at the top of step 4, memberships. Copy and paste. So that's all correct for headers. Now click on body and click on raw. And we're going to copy the code here. Copy this and back to Postman, paste. So don't click send yet. The brackets here means you need to enter your information. So go back to the first tab where you have your room ID and copy this ID right here. Do not include the double quotes or else it will not work. Only the ID. So replace this so that way it's covered in quotes. And then add an email. Let's say my Cisco email address and click, well, before you click send, make sure everything is correct. We have the headers, authorization, bearer, your API key. We have contents type, application JSON, for your headers. We have the post and the memberships URL. And then on body, you have the brackets around the room ID, personal email, and is moderator. So we're adding my other account to the Spark room. And now you can click send. All right, status is 200 OK. So that means it successfully added a person to the Spark room. So go to your browser and open up your Spark room and see how it's added my other account. You added Tessa Merrill to this room. So I have my personal email account and my Cisco email. So that completes that step of adding a person to your room. Let's scroll down, and that completes step 4 of 5. Click on the green arrow on the bottom corner. We're going to go to the last step of this learning lab. We're going to post a message to the new Spark room that we created called Women in Tech. So to work with messages, we're going to use the API URL messages. Copy that URL and go back to Postman. We're going to create a new tab, so click on the tab plus and post the URL there. Back to your browser. Here is the next data you're going to enter, but first let's fix the headers on your Postman by doing the same steps as before. Click on headers and add the information from the previous tab. Authorization, your API information, content type, and application JSON. And that's good. Now we're going to select post because we're inputting data into our Spark room. So that's all correct. So click on body and click on raw. And go back to your browser on your step 5 and copy this code, the JSON code. Go back to Postman and paste this. So remember, we need to get our room ID, which you can access in the previous tab or the first tab. Either one is the same one. So copy this URL and post it here. So according to this, we're adding a file of a young kitten and we're adding the text, hello world. So make sure this is all correct before clicking send. Make sure you have your brackets around the whole thing. Make sure room ID, file, and text has quotes around it. Make sure that each set of data has quotes around it too. Make sure there's a colon in between each. And make sure there is a comma that separates each line of code. Since the last one is the last one, you're not going to need a comma. The first one has a comma after it. The second one has a comma after it. The last one doesn't, which is correct. And click on send. Status 400 bad request. Copy this again. Copy. Looks like I copied the wrong ID. So the room ID is right here. Copy this. Go back to the third tab and put in your room ID. Now click on send. And now you have status 200 OK, which means this file and message posted to your Spark room. So if you do make mistakes, or get 400 status, HTTP status, that is okay. It's hard to learn without breaking things or making things not work. When things don't work, you take the time to troubleshoot, and that's when the learning takes place. So go back to your Spark room in your browser and check out your Women in Tech room. As you can see, here's the message, "Hello world," with the little kitten. Great! Now you've made your API request to post a message in your Spark room. Congratulations! So if you've reached as far as this, you have completed your Learning Labs. So go back to the tab Learning Labs. Scroll to the bottom and click on Done because you've completed part 5 of 5. So click on Continue. And now you see a lot of Learning Labs. So what you want to do is filter by collaboration and coding. And now you can choose which class that you want to take. And it lets you know how long it's going to take to go through it. So you can learn how to write programming code in Python, making REST API codes rather than using Postman. And Postman is a good way to troubleshoot your calls as well. We went through Coding 101, so the next thing you want to do is Coding 102. And whatever seems convenient for you to learn or interesting for you to learn. So hopefully I helped you with the tools that you need to go through the Learning Labs and make API calls. And hopefully you enjoyed my webinars. Thank you so much for making it this far. Talk to you later.